We'll continue our studies on cell signaling. We'll look into the general features of the cell signaling. Here you can see that the first one is a specificity, which means that it is very specific in binding site, like the signal molecules or the ligands which are being produced by the producer cell will fit only to the receptor where it has a complementary shape for that. See here, this is a triangle and this is the other shape where only this triangle fits here, means it should have a complementary binding site in the receptor region. And when there is a complementary region binding site, the further process takes place, like amplification. When an enzyme gets activated, the number of enzymes increase geometrically. Here you can see that the signal is being taken and the enzyme is being produced, and this enzyme will be affected and it produces two more enzymes, and enzyme 2 again produces the three enzymes from each of the enzymes. And coming on to the next is the desensitization. After the signal is being received on the receptor, the receptors are being cut out, means removed from the cell surface. And next feature is that integration. When the two signals have a opposite signals, see, when the two receptors are being present in the same cell, then it leads to the formation of a secondary messengers. So these are the features. First it is the specificity, then the amplification of the enzymes, then removal of the receptor from the cell surface. When two receptors are present in the same cell, that will lead to the formation of the secondary messengers. In simple terms, cell signaling can be described as production of a signal from the cells, and that signal is received by another cell called as a target cell. But the main process what happens here in cell signaling is called as a signal transduction pathway. It involves a three steps, that is reception, where it receives the signal from the other cells and that has been holded by a receptor which is present in the extracellular fluid, and that molecule enters inside the cell where a series of enzymatic reaction takes place called as transduction pathway, and that, depending upon the enzymatic reaction, the product will be formed, either a formation of a protein or the cell death. The depending upon the signal, the response will be taken place. There are different types of cell signaling molecules involved in the cell signaling process, that is extracellular signaling molecules and intracellular signaling molecules, and these are responsible for transmitting the information between the cells in your body. Here you can see a extracellular signaling molecule which is binding to the receptor site, and these are the intracellular signaling proteins, and as it is having a signaling proteins involving a series of signals like metabolic enzymes, cytoskeleton, these are the target proteins. Depending upon the extracellular signal, these actions are being carried out. Like, this is a series of reaction where a signal molecule, it binds to the receptor present on the cell surface of the target cell. This is a, assume that here it is a target cell which contains a receptor, and the extracellular signal molecule comes and binds here. When it binds here, the receptor activates where it changes its conformation and it activates a series of signaling proteins. Here you can see a series of signaling proteins are being activated, and depending upon the series of signaling proteins, different types of actions are carried out by this cell. Like if it is a metabolic enzyme, then altered metabolism, altered gene expression, and cytoskeleton protein means altered cell shape or the movement altogether takes place if there is a series of signaling proteins involved in the process.